My first recommendation of this book is that we seriously restructure higher ed. There must be ways to both ethically strive toward making information accessible by both providing high-level research training and critical literacy, but I don't foresee that happening so long as the banking model of education exists, and we can't destroy it without a replacement. Although, with the Chevron deference and Trump's fetishizing of Project 2025, we may see that. Researchers and our chosen research approaches, methods, and processes are never neutral. We are like journalists in that way. Most of us are trained to reinforce the lie that we are unbiased. Academic humans have been and remain flawed, biased, and have a history and precedent of using and abusing language, reinforcing falsely objective and non-universalizable canonical claims. All of this can and must change, and to make matters worse, PhDs don't guarantee security. The vast majority of PhDs haven't and or aren't paid enough to live as professors anymore, and for a while aggrandizing the title, and that hasn't crossed the societal brain-body barrier. And this unlivable salary conundrum of folks who obtain PhDs today reveals a unique problem. PhDs as both a shiny yet opaque product resulting from decidedly debt-inducing elitist processes of professionalization, normalization, and glorification of overwork and productivity culture to chase a pipe dream of disembodied prestigious accomplishments and leadership roles. PhDs are both perpetually required to fake it until we make it and hold an air of having already made it, being worthy and being seen as an authority or expert within a society that doesn't, in fact, see most of us, no matter our titles, trainings, and skill sets, as being worthy of being heard. Now, we're living in a moment where the system has bureaucratized the authority gap to such an extent, paying the vast majority of our most educated people well below the poverty line, while normalizing we work ourselves to death anyway, chasing the dignity-destroying tenure-track job. And yet the public has been fed this hollow image of PhDs as either faceless titles behind expert features in newspapers, magazines, or living archives to fill documentaries, podcasts, and speaking engagements, all pretending that what has happened to us is fine for competition. It's the ultimate inevitability of chasing shiny awards and a passion of embodying the ability to profess knowledge while attempting to escape the inevitable existential dread of being alive as the world is burning hot and most everyone pretends diseases and genocides aren't happening. At the end of the day, the questions are, is this what we want? Should PhDs be ignoring research? As going on 6 years of research and interviews make abundantly clear, opportunists say yes, if it means they can have their voices heard. But what good is having your voice heard by masses miseducated and disinformed enough that you are unintelligible and most findings are ignored? If my Dr. Birdseye view is correct, I believe we have a golden opportunity to change our ways. I have learned that if folks don't want to hear that, they will do whatever it takes not to do so. Have you heard our lived experiences are a form of knowledge, for better and for worse? Our experiences of the world tell us a story of the ways that any phenomena in this world manifests, whether it is a form of oppression and bigotry or any glimmer of liberatory regenerative hope, or whatever kind of complicated mix of Western-centric racism with Aspie supremacist, sanist, fatphobic, post-COVID-19 denial, gender-assumptive, neoliberal girl boss rhetoric we have to detangle to understand the ways this system dehumanizes us differently and maybe at the same time, differently but almost the same at different times too, and how many Jedi trainings and books on neoliberalism do we need until we remember invisible disabilities exist? In a world where education was made accessible to all, we would not need degrees to make sense of what we have survived. We would not need degrees to decide who was and wasn't worthy of being seen as a legitimate source of liberatory information, deserving of being paid a livable and thrivable wage, who gets to live in a home, have access to clean water, air, food, or land. But again, in this system, having any level of higher education doesn't guarantee us any of that anymore. On one hand, education has been made more accessible than ever before, but on the other, it forced us into egregious debt. So is that truly accessible? And if that wasn't bad enough, most bachelor's degrees were designed into specialists, reducing our understandings of complex life stories into often, at best, single-issue lens, misunderstood, machine-like confusion.